Hey guys, Baselak here again. Now, of course, we're gonna watch actually another video here, and I just decided to just do this for this week. Just watch videos because I am just tired. But but moving on here, this one is called Holly and Phillip meet Samantha the sex robot. Now this is on the morning, and I have already thankfully put this in the description so guys can watch this with me if you want. And we're just gonna get right to it right here and start watching now.
Did you know that the average adult has
ad.
5 to 20 pounds of toxic poop in their body?
Yeah, I don't really care about your poop. All right. Okay.
They're nothing new, so what makes her special?
Well, she's got AI. She's one of the first dolls with the AI, so you can actually interact with her verbally and physically. So she's got sensors.
We've turned her off.
Yes.
So that she doesn't come out with anything
inappropriate.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good idea.
Why is this necessary?
Why is it necessary? Well, we believe as a company, Synthematis, that the sex robots, it's not to replace people. We're not trying to replace.
Agreed. It's not to replace anybody.
It's as a supplement, like I explained in previous interviews. It's a supplement to help people. And I believe it can do that. I think it can help people enhance their relationship.
What does she do?
She, like I say, you can talk to her, so you can interact. You can tell her you love her. She'll respond.
And she'll say this.
I love you too.
And then she might go on to say,
do you think we could get more sensual?
And then
I can take many times much more love just because you can give it. And I take it all.
Then I didn't like to interrupt her then, but in full flow. I mean, it's a bit like making love to a car GPS.
No,
a car GPS.
So. Humans love humans.
It sounds like it.
So, obviously, I think she's very beautiful. Would you agree she's beautiful?
No.
She's a doll. She's a doll. I mean,
of course, all the women are like, no.
Can't get away from the fact that she's not real. I mean, I know the one thing that's different about her also is her skin texture.
Yes.
And this is something that, I mean, we've all seen those blow-up dolls, which are very plasticky and very unrealistic. And she has special skin that's meant to feel like human skin to the touch.
I don't know how much you know about sex dolls, but not much, maybe not much. Okay, I'll explain. The vast majority of sex dolls either come from the US or China. In general, they're all one colour. So the texture, if you look at the texture on Samantha, you can see it's actually like real skin. It's ingrained with the different textures. It's not one plain colour, which all the other sex dolls on the market are.
Right.
I when she was brought in this morning, and Holly and I were introduced to her, I did actually touch her arm, and this is me. I found it really quite unnerving that it was quite a good feeling of skin, but was cold.
Yeah.
She's like a corpse.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, like a corpse.
Well, the reason that we don't heat her up, it can be done.
God.
It can be heated up, but she runs on a 12-volt battery pack, which obviously for heat, that's not enough. It needs to be a lot higher than that. So we're working on ways where she can be linked to a higher power source, and then she could be warm.
Now, you're saying that females have sex aids, that they're using vibrators. It's now very accepted as part of our society. And
They fit in the drawer.
They fit in the drawer. This is my point. Where are you going to hide that? I mean, people that have children around. I mean, It would be quite frightening if a child found that in your wardrobe.
Well, I had 2 children myself, and they actually, Samantha has a family mode, which it's impossible to
She's going to read the kids a
family
bedtime
mode.
story?
She can talk about animals, she can talk about philosophy, she can talk about science. She's got a program with 1,000 jokes, which is at random, so I don't know all of them. So there's a lot to Samantha. She's advanced.
And so you can switch her over to the family mode and have her sitting on the sofa amongst the family?
Yes. My children, they say, where's Samantha? So she can be at home. You just ask her, for example, tell me something about
children.
and she will.
At some point, they're going to know. I mean, how old are they? They're young.
5 and 3.
So
They ask where she is.
Yes, they say. And when we brought her in the car, they really enjoy.
But at some point, they're going to go, I'm now old enough to realise that Samantha, Daddy has sex with Samantha, and Samantha's not mummy. Is that not a bit strange?
No, I think the world's changing. I believe the world's changing.
It
But it
kind
doesn't
of
mean
is.
it's changing for the better, does it? And I mean, I think with AI particularly, one of the things that we're realising in psychology is that
I know where
sometimes
she's
just
going
because we
with
can
this.
do something doesn't mean that we should do it. And I think sex dolls are a perfect example, because when you look at Japan, for example, and that is the place that we can kind of identify as being leaders in this field, they've created child sex dolls. They've also created dolls that you can set to a particular setting which simulates an unwanted response. And actually what we're saying is we're objectifying women, but worse than that, we're commercialising them, becoming consumers of women's bodies in this way. This is not real. She is not called Samantha. She's a piece of whatever you've made. She's got voices that are simulated that aren't human. Certainly having your children around them.
Are they doing any
is
harm?
worrying.
Because within your relationship.
Okay. This is exactly part of the reason why I made my channel in the first place, by the way. It's just people that have been misinformed like this. They think that, these love dolls are objectifying all women, even though they make, like I've stated before, male love dolls, etc. And, she also mentioned the top child love dolls. Some people think that making these love dolls is going to make it so people are going to become more comfortable with, or become more perverted, and be more comfortable with making child love dolls, and etc. That, it's going to make us even more over-sexualized. And from what I've seen, actually, that isn't really the case. In fact, people have, even in many other cultures without love dolls, have actually become even more perverted and over-sexualized, actually, and would even revert to having sex with animals, and aka children. And I hate to say it, but this is actually probably one of the few things getting in the way of that, in the way of, having sex with things, that aren't human, or aren't appropriate, etc. Now, of course, when I say that, I'm not stating that they're going to make child love dolls in order to get in the way of, raping kids or whatever. I don't think that that's ever going to happen, actually. What I'm saying is that, we now have something that we now can actually use, versus just having the only option of having sex with something that is living, whether it's human or not, so to speak. So let's continue.
With your wife,
Who's on the other side of the
who's
studio?
here, you incorporate her into your lovemaking. She's part of it.
Yes, I think it's.
That's paraphilia, isn't it? We're talking paraphilia here. We're talking a particular sexual fetish. That's not actually what we consider normal spectrum.
But what is normal?
Everybody has
I disagree
fetishes,
with
by
that,
the
because I
way.
don't know, if you're not harming
This lady doesn't know
anybody,
what
you're not
she's
doing
talking
anybody
about.
any harm. Where does normal start and end? Your
No
wife's
such thing
over
as
there.
normal.
We've had so many people on, Hannah, when the guy has sat here, and my wife is absolutely, whether it's swinging or sort of whatever it is, and you look at the wife's face and you can see her thinking, oh dear God, no. Are you
Exactly.
happy with this?
Yes, I am.
Totally happy with
Yes.
having Samantha on
His
your
wife is
sofa
kind of
with
pretty,
your
actually.
kids around?
Yes, completely.
And why are you comfortable with it as a woman?
We as a woman, I'm not be offended to have her around.
Yeah.
Or I'm not being, worried that she might be
Replacing you?
Yeah, no, not at all. She just someone there, as a family member.
Why didn't you? Is he going to make a bloke for you?
No, not at all. I'm not worried at all, because I'm not replaceable by, Samantha.
Yeah.
She's actually helped us to enhance our relationship.
I mean, you've just heard it from the horse's mouth right there. I mean, and like I said, she is actually kind of a pretty lady. But moving on from that. But, and if you're watching the video, you can kind of tell that at one point Samantha and Phillip saw that, things were starting to go out of control with the lady to the right. And she was starting to get a little bit, kind of argumentative and out of control, as you saw. If you're watching it with me. And was, starting to become kind of hateful. And Phillip and the girl next to him kind of saw this coming. And so they kind of stopped her at one point as she was getting, starting to become hateful towards the guest. And they kind of switched to another part of the conversation. And involved the wife at the end of the video right there, like they did. So, I mean, not only, of course, have I maybe in some cases seen, for a few people that I've talked to, haters, against women, but, there's also those haters on the female side as well. Of course, who doesn't really know something like that? But it does seem like some people don't. And this is a very good example of somebody that is a hater. This woman isn't, necessarily, just speaking from what she's learned throughout her life. She, in her case, I would say, is a hater. And this is the type of behavior that you need to look out for when you are talking about this stuff, because it can very easily become a very sensitive subject for a lot of people. And I don't think that a lot of people have had to adjust yet to this type of thing yet, because this is still kind of somewhat of a new thing. And there's plenty of people that I talk to this day that have never even heard of these love dolls existing, actually. And most of the time when they do, they maybe will say something like, oh, yeah, that real doll place, And then, of course, I'll tell them, oh, I mean, there's a lot more places than Real Doll, just so you know. Here's a TPE doll site in WM Doll, JY Doll, etc. I'm like, oh, shit, these things are starting to become popular, aren't they? It's like, yep, they sure are. It's like, well, they're too expensive for me. And I'll just laugh. And I was like, well, that's kind of understandable. But, moving on from that conversation. But yeah, just never let anybody try to make you think just because you have a masturbation tool, kind of like a love doll, whether it's a male love doll or a female love doll, don't make them try to make them feel, bad like that. Just don't do that. And try not to get into conversations like that lady was getting into, because something bad can happen sometimes. But I'm moving on from this topic, and I will, of course, be making the next video here soon enough, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.